Building rapport with job candidates is so important. And I think all of us could agree on that. Yet, a lot of people I talk to say, I just don't have time for that in this busy work world today. Well, today we're going to give you tips on how to build authentic connections with job seekers that you're interviewing, and do it quickly. Hi, I'm Scott Wintrip. I'm the author of High Velocity Hiring, How to Hire Top Talent in an Instant. And I'm thrilled to have my friend and colleague, Susan Sandler, here with me today. And I asked Susan to do this interview, and I told her why. Susan, when I met Susan for the first time, we had this immediate connection. And I know this is not unique for me. Susan is brilliant at making immediate, deep connections with people. So I thought, who better to give advice on making connections than Susan Sandler? Now, one thing I want you to know about her is she has an amazing one-woman show she just launched called Wings. And if I understand correctly, it is all about the importance of going towards your fears and how you've done this in your own journey and what other people can learn about that. True?
True.
And so I bet a lot of your authenticity came from that. When you face your fears, you really get to know who you are. And because of that, I bet you can be more present for other people as well. True?
Well, I don't know if it actually happened that way.
Okay.
I think that I was just born with a curiosity, a fascination with what makes people tick.
Okay. And I bet that's going to be part of the advice that you end up giving people today, because I have found that I have this inherent curiosity too. That's probably why you and I get along so well. So talk about that. How do you use your inherent curiosity to build relationships and do it quickly?
Well, I start with the assumption that I leave my assumptions at home. So I don't, if I have any preconceived notions, and we're meaning-making machines, so we all have them, I'm aware that what I really want to do is really get to know the other person. And my job is not to impress them with me. It really is to come with my curiosity and and be open-minded, and that is how I approach when I was interviewing, when I was a manager, how I interviewed candidates, is that I really wanted to know what made them tick.
Now, I have to interject because I heard you say two things.
Okay.
You come with your curiosity and you leave your preconceived notions at home.
Yes.
That sounds really simple, but I know that my preconceived notions get the best of me at times, and that I don't always leave my assumptions at home. So talk about how you battle that. How do you deal with that, where maybe they follow you I can't say it, follow you from home sometimes, and all of a sudden there's this preconceived notion that comes up in the middle of a conversation.
Yes.
What do you do about that?
I test them.
Ooh, okay, say more about that.
So I test my assumptions. So if I'm getting, if I'm getting an impression of someone, I will ask a question or a set of questions to test that out. And it might sound something like, I'm getting the impression that.
Oh, love that question.
And is that so? And then I'll test my assumptions with that other person about what I'm concluding or what, how they're showing up for me.
And so I bet there are times when you've asked that where it's validated that your assumption is true.
Yes.
And other times that it was dead wrong.
Dead wrong.
Yes. And by doing that, I'm guessing that this builds the trust because you're being vulnerable and honest and sincere and curious.
Yes.
And it all sounds like for you it's rooted in the questions.
It's rooted in the questions.
And rooted in something I think I said to you at one point, that these preconceived notions, I was told years ago that I'm not responsible for my first thought, I'm just responsible for my next action. My first thought may be a preconceived notion, a bias. I don't have to go with that thought. I can challenge it, or I can follow it through and confirm or deny it with the person by asking a question. Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, that's right.
So as we wrap up here, the people that are watching this video interview candidates, and they're building rapport with top talent. What's a closing piece of advice you would give to them based on this conversation that you think would help them build rapport and do it quickly?
I would say look into the person's eyes.
Like you're doing so
and-
wonderfully with me right now, yes?
And look to be surprised. And the other thing is that when you do label something that they've said, do it in a more like a neutral way, so that it doesn't come across as either right or wrong. Because very few things are right or wrong. They just are.
One of my big takeaways, Susan, is our preconceived notion, our biases, and I'm not talking discriminatory biases, I'm just talking natural day-to-day biases. They get in the way. They're almost like a brick wall that comes up between us and that other person that keeps us from building deep, authentic relationships. And the insight I've gotten this evening from you is that it's no wonder to me that you build relationships so quickly, because you're just keeping those walls down. And you're inviting the person to reach across, that divide, and there is no divide then, because you make it so safe for them, and it's so safe for you because it's real and it's authentic. Brilliant advice. Susan, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much.
I challenge all of you to leave your preconceived notions at home and show up and be curious. And if you're not good at that, you can practice that. And just remember, you're not responsible for your first thought. You're just responsible for your next action. I know I have to challenge my first thought often, and you know what? I'm going to be better at it, because one of my takeaways is if I have a thought, I'm going to validate that. I'm not going to ignore it. Maybe I'm assuming something. I'm going to check that out with the person in a very non-confrontational way. So Susan, thank you. If you want to look up Susan, there's a link going to be attached to this video. Make sure you follow her and check out her One Woman show. People who have watched this show, I've been reading the posts about how mothers are bringing daughters and couples are coming, and how it is helping people understand fear, understanding trauma, because I know you touch on that. And it's creating dialogues. That's the thing I heard from Susan, that people haven't had, that they wanted to have, but they maybe didn't know how to have. So make sure you check out her show. And I know you'll be impressed, because I adore this woman. So with that, I wish you well, and I hope you found this helpful. And if so, please do share it with your friends. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.